episode of Black in the Maritimes. I'm Fidel.
I'm Hillary.
And I'm Clinton.
And this is the first time we're together in the same room after 2019, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a part of it since November. So I made it. I busted out of Ontario, essentially. That's the story.
Yay! We got
History in the making.
we got effects now. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, hot tech.
Yeah, so how does it feel? Like, we'll start with Hillary. You just came from Ontario. You're going to be here in Moncton for 3 weeks?
2 weeks. It feels really good. Plane ride was really stressful. I sat next to a 15-year-old boy from Grand Falls who had flown to Edmonton, Alberta, did not wear a mask, is completely unvaxxed, and sat next to me. And as we know, I'm going to see my 7-year-old mom with dementia. So that was stressful. My best friend was sat around 8 children in the plane, so we were very terrified for a while, and also we've been watching like the numbers changing here. But it feels so good to be home and to see my mom and to see people and to see both of you. It's crazy.
It's nice to see you too. It's very nice to see you. Clinton, how do you feel being outside, seeing me and Hillary and, being in this space in La Estación?
It wasn't as surreal to see you because I've seen you a million times.
Probably, yeah.
When I saw Hillary face to face, it was the weirdest feeling ever because I've only ever seen her on a screen. Always animated, always very video, but always on a screen. So that was a weird sensation for about a minute. I got over that pretty quickly. She actually looks exactly like she looks on video, so that's fine. And it doesn't feel weird to be with you two in this room. It feels natural and great, and like a great progression.
Well,
it's
I
a
can
cool
see
feeling.
the whole body and the whole face of everybody, which is like, oh my god, I haven't seen that. Usually I run to my basement and put the microphone on and then turn the computer on, and that's how we see it. So yeah, it's nice to be here, guys. Nice to see you. If you hear the sound, it's because we're trying this live thing. It's the first time we do it, so sorry about that, but it is what it is. We only got, that's just what we got for now. Hopefully we can get this all sorted out. So let's not break the barrier, and people like this podcast because of what we say. So we're going to talk about the spreading in Moncton. It's New Brunswick is on fire, and it's the first time that it's in Moncton. We have over 64 cases.
In Moncton?
In Moncton.
Oh, I didn't know it was in Moncton.
Yeah, all of them are in
I thought
Moncton.
that was all New
I
Brunswick.
think that's the whole province.
No, but it's like
But 48 were in Moncton.
48
last I
in
heard.
Moncton and 60. Okay, yeah. So probably it's like that, but the majority is in Moncton. And Hillary, you and I know people. I know. You know what the funny thing is? I didn't know people that had COVID till now.
Oh, I have. Since back in June 2020, I knew someone that had COVID.
I knew them from outside the country. Nobody in the province. Nobody in Moncton. And this is the first time that I know
knew
somebody
someone
in Moncton
Like
that
one of
has
the first in the hospital.
My family caught it and I lived with them, remember? And we recorded and I was holed up in my room. So for me,
Yeah.
For me, it's only weird because this is the first time I have to actually be careful about bringing it to my mom. It's one thing if I get it, and that was the conversation I had with this 15-year-old boy. I'm not scared of COVID. I don't want my mom to die because I went to third glass. That's my biggest concern. But I think that it's unfortunate. I'm sort of happy that they were able to figure out that it's one person that contributed to 41 of the cases, and it's not like 41 different idiots who went around and did something different. There's only 7 that they didn't know who brought it and why, and were under investigation. So that definitely makes me more comfortable. But I've been careful, waiting in line to go to Mexi's last night. I wore my mask on Main Street. I saw other people wearing their mask. I saw people wearing their mask in the mall. We went to Sport Check because what else do you do in Moncton? And people were masked in the mall. It seems like a lot of tourists weren't masked, but people who were from here were, and the staff at most places still are. So feels like it's a weird in-between vibe right now.
What I feel is, and I'm gonna sound old, is that everybody 20-year-old, 25, just wild the fuck out. And they just went wild. And they just started spreading this thing. So it is a bit odd, to be honest with you, because we've been doing so well for the past 2 years that now, especially in Moncton, that now it's we knew Edmundston was crazy at one time. Fredericton at one time was that's where the Delta variant came. And Moncton was been, we had a couple of cases, but never like this. Like now that like we're like seeing some end in the tunnel,
Yeah.
we got this whole young people being.
I don't know if it's fair to say that young people are wilding out, because again, it seems like it was one person that spread it to around 40 people
Well,
in Moncton, right?
what I saw, I would say that it's not wiling out, but the Government New Brunswick website said that the majority of, or maybe it was a CBC article, the majority of 20 to 29s aren't getting back, like that they're
Oh,
not
really?
that.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
a
what it is.
mixture
Okay.
of wiling out and also them not being vaccinated that's spreading it to even
Combined.
like some of the people that I know that have it right now of that group, they are vaccinated and they're holding up just out of like due diligence, but they're not having adverse symptoms. But there's apparently some people in that cohort who have like 0 vaccines. So there's still a big need for the 20 to 29-year-old group in New Brunswick to get vaccinated. Apparently they're the least.
That's crazy because like Friday night before we went to Green, like I had a big talk with everyone in my salon spa, and we were saying that like we are gonna make it mandatory. A lot of us weren't gonna be wearing masks. Some of us were. We didn't care if the clients wore masks or not. And then boom, next day 17 cases. Boom, next day 18 cases, and we had to rethink everything. We're all still pretty much wearing masks. We make it mandatory for clients. But just to comment on what you said, Hillary, most clients come in and they just have a mask on, and we don't even ask them about it. People still want to wear masks currently, and because they don't know who's enforcing what, I think people just generally take their masks with them wherever they go.
I'm just gonna say, if you're 20 to 29, get fucking vaccinated. It's not that hard. Please. That's the thing. I think the funny thing. Oh, the police or the ambulance is shooting. So
Hopefully
this
they're
is
on our
wild.
side.
It's a wild night in Moncton.
it's a wild night in
Yeah,
Moncton.
sorry, don't-
Like we're recording this August 11th, and right now 13 cases of COVID-19. 11 are in Zone 1, which is
Today.
Moncton, and 2 in Zone 2.
So it's spreading again. Yeah.
Yeah, it is spreading. So I would not be surprised if we go to yellow.
I've heard conflicting things between like the waiting until the end of the summer, helping the economy regrow. I don't know. No offense, as long as it doesn't happen next week, I don't.
Nova Scotia's thinking about closing the border to us again, right?
Yep, they are taking PEI as well.
I'm supposed to go to PEI this weekend. So
The travel-related case was someone who came back from Halifax.
who had taken a flight though, right? They got off at the airport in Halifax.
From my understanding, someone picked up somebody in Halifax and drove them here, and then they went out downtown to all of the bars that were listed, like Wise Guys and Third Class and Furnace Room, etc.
Yeah. But the problem is not, you going out and have fun and everything. The problem is that these people don't want to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And if we had another way, I would say to you, sure, if there was a pill, if there was something, but there is no other way. Just get vaccinated, and if I think it's 75 right now, we're at 70%. If we can get to 80% of vaccination, we would be fine.
We're at 80% for the first,
First
but we're
dose.
still
Yeah,
at 70
but the
for
second.
the second. Yeah.
Because again, if we have 2 people from COVID in the whole province, that's not bad. That's okay. That's not going to affect any hospital. But we're getting 11 people, and those 11 are spreading to other people and other people, and that might be an issue. But having that said,
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the concern with that as well is like, so next week the nursing home my mom's at is not making masks mandatory as well. So it's just that's the bigger fear, because on the one hand, it's if it continues spreading, there's still going to be variants. So 15% never do get vaccinated. They're going to bounce around this variant. But then the other fact is when people start to lower their restrictions, like the nursing home, and I can go in unmasked, but I went out to those places the night before, I would be fucking over my mom.
It's crazy.
It's just a very big domino effect, and I think that a lot of young people, like that kid on the plane with me, doesn't realize how far the domino does cascade.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think the young, and again, not on young, because the person I know is not young, and they have it.
That's what I was
Yeah.
getting at.
I'm not gonna. They're not young, but that person hangs out with a lot of
Young
people for that age, and that's how they caught the virus. However, they don't want to get vaccinated. They're like, oh, I feel like, like some people get the disease and they still are vaccinated. I'm like, yes, it's not a cure. It's just you're not gonna die. That's the whole thing. But anyways, hopefully this happens and this goes away eventually, or we will live with it forever. We don't know, whatever happens. But the federal government is actually thinking of doing vaccine passport for people that are going to travel. So Ottawa said that they might have by next month, they might have a vaccine passport for people that have to jump in the plane. This is to protect international waters and people that if you come in from Canada and if you go out from Canada, you'll have to have it. So myself, I need to travel, so I'm probably gonna get it. I'm fully vaccinated. But what's your take on it, Hillary?
We all technically have vaccine passports for like getting these vaccines when we were kids in high school. To me, it's not that weird of a concept. I'm 100% for it as someone who enjoys travel. My family like immigrated from here on the black side. I would love to go to Dakar and see where my grandmother's from. As we've said multiple times, I'm fully vaccinated and I'm fully for it. Like, I think there's no better way to prove it. It felt like I honestly was really concerned having to bring, because I did have to bring my papers to prove I was vaccinated to get into the nursing home. I would have preferred something that wasn't those only original documents. If there's a way to transfer that information to a vaccine passport that's legitimized, that I just carry with my IDs, it would be easier than bringing my only piece of paper from the Ministry of Health of Ontario. So I'm all for it.
What about you, Clinton?
Pretty soon, though, it's going to be available digitally through an app in New Brunswick, at least. Like you just log into the GNB website, and you'll be able to show it that way. I think that will apply. And I mean, vaccine passports. It's funny because all the conspiracy theorists and anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers have been saying that Canada's going to do this, and they make it seem like a huge conspiracy theory. And which sometimes they're true, right? They're not theories, or maybe there was actual information supporting that, but they make it seem like an evil thing. I don't think that it's an evil thing. I mean, you have to have a passport to travel, anyways. And there are certain countries that you've never been able to go with without making sure you got certain vaccines before you went to them to make sure you didn't catch something there and bring it back. So it's a natural evolution of things. And I mean, that's why I got the first shot, to be honest with you. I was hesitant myself. I'm not against the vaccine. Not that I don't think it would work. I had those, I'm a bit immunocompromised, so I had some concerns about possible side effects. But in the end, I mean, I got it because I wanted to travel. And if you have to have a passport to travel, it's not a violation of my Charter of Rights. It's not taking away my freedoms. It's just something that you have to do to help keep people safe, and I'd be okay with it.
I mean, but we're not the only country doing it. I think that's we have to check that the UK is doing it. I think the European Union is trying to do like a universal vaccine passport. But we're not the only ones that's going to do it. More countries are going to jump on the bandwagon, or they're already in the bandwagon. I think if you have to go to New Zealand or Australia, you have to have like some kind of vaccine proof. But you did give a good point there that we're going to have these anti-vaxxers people protesting because of the rights and like all those things. And for me, it's a bit silly because I do get the hesitancy. Like you can't be sure about anything, and that's completely fine. But a passport and a mask is not the big deal. I mean, it's just a paper and it's just like so. Have you guys? Hillary hasn't seen it, but have you seen the anti-vaxxer march in Moncton?
I wasn't there for it, but I saw videos of it. Yeah,
it's hilarious. It's crazy.
Is it in more than one?
Like 10.
Oh, no, I had no idea.
But it's a group of people. It's a group of people, all white. Not saying.
Of course.
I haven't seen a black person yet there.
Thugs, they're all thugs.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I know some friends that are black that they're that they don't want to have it. They are.
Oh, my brother is very against it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not a black or white thing. I'm just saying. So just
everyone in Moncton that's in these marches happens.
Yeah, they just happen to be white and wear camo and boots and probably have country songs. That's not here or there.
In all fairness, the same thing at the anti-vax marches, like at Trinity Bellwoods in Toronto, they also all fit the exact same profile. There aren't like people of color standing outside there doing that either. So.
But yeah, in Moncton, it's in New Brunswick itself, it's just a couple of people, and it's just crazy.
You seen them?
Yeah, I seen.
Like you stood on the sidelines and watched them. If I had known, I might have gone and just taken a look.
The funny thing is, I was driving in Main Street.
Yeah.
And I see these people, there's like 10 of them. There's not 10, maybe 10, 12 of them. And they have signs, and I'm like, what is going on here? And the cops are there. And I'm like, what's happening? And I see that they are like, oh, mass is not you're taking our rights away from mass. this is a dictatorship. I'm like, these people need to go to Venezuela or North Korea or places that there's a real dictatorship.
But also like the idea of like no shirt, no shoes, no service. Like this isn't the first time that like a business, you do not own that business. It's not your right to go into that place. If it's private property, it is up to those business owners to keep their clientele safe. And if they deem that this is how you keep it safe, then that's up to them to adhere to that policy or that law, and you're not fucking welcome then. Like if you think that it's harming your rights, take your business somewhere else. Which is interesting also just because I saw a Facebook post about like how all of the anti-mask and anti-vaxxers are apparently the ones who cared the most about trying to save the economy because they're the ones who are trying to keep shopping throughout this. But that's such a counterintuitive thought because the anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers are the reasons why we had to keep going back to yellow and back to red and back to all of these restrictions because they weren't helping like the science and the medical field end this faster. So I don't agree with that post, but anyway.
The question is, where does everyone get these shared views from, right? I mean, we all have our views and we all agree on things and don't disagree on things, but why do so many people have the exact same views? And it's probably social media, right? It's probably propaganda being fed out by, I don't know who it's being fed out by, but it's just like, where are they getting it from? Something I've been thinking a lot about lately is this whole concept of rights anyways, right? So that there's this idea of what we think our rights should be, and we can all believe our rights are completely different. And then there's rights that the government gives you. The Charter of Rights, it's in a country, whatever country you live in, it's actually the government that decides what your rights are. And if you don't like what they say your rights are, you have the right to try to attain power and work to change those rights on paper. I've read the Charter of Rights, and nothing has been violated by anything that's happened in the past year. I've even watched many videos that attempted to quote the Charter of Rights while leaving out key pieces of information that support the idea that the government has the right to suspend certain rights or change your rights based on their local municipal laws or provincial or federal. So again, no one's rights are being violated. Freedom is in a lot of ways a make-believe concept. Like, we only have the rights that are given to us by the country we live in, which sucks, but that's the reality of it. If you don't like it, you go live on a mountain or the forest, and you're not a part of society if you don't want to.
I think also freedom is subjective because you're right. What you think is freedom doesn't necessarily mean freedom to me. However, there's laws and regulations that we are all supposed to, abide on. But my problem and my take is this, is that, this is not just affecting one person. If it was affecting one person or a group of people, maybe that would be something.
Mm-hmm.
But this is affecting everybody in the whole world. Like, this is not a problem that's just happening in Moncton or in Fredericton or in Toronto. It's happening in Zimbabwe, it's happening in Nigeria, it's happening... Ooh, that's a loud ambulance. But anyways, this is something that is happening everywhere. So the fact that people are like, oh, these people don't know what they're talking about. Like, nobody knew that this was going to happen. Like, nobody knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
We are all learning how it goes. So the fact that you're thinking that your rights are being violated for something that has never happened in 100 years, it's crazy because you don't know that because this has never happened, ever. So, I think that's the problem when we talk about the freedom of rights and things like that. I agree, there's no violation in any shape or form, but the problem is like everybody's going through it. So, and we're lucky in the Atlantic provinces that we haven't had it that bad. Because if you go to places like in Spain, people couldn't even go get groceries. Like, they couldn't even go get groceries to, like, only if you lived in a 5-people home, only one person could go out to get the groceries and come back, and everybody had to stay inside.
Well, at one point in Ontario, it was that way. Like, if you brought multiple people to, like, you weren't allowed to be multiple people in Best Buy and Sobeys. Like, you were one person from the household, you had to leave the other people in the car. So it's been harder also in different places of this country too, and it's ridiculous.
And it has nothing to do with freedom. It's just that people are trying to handle it experts are trying to handle it the best way that they can, right?
And I think people put too much of an onus on scientists and experts to just think that everything is understood with the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Like, people don't get that science is hard. We all know things because we can Google them, and then we think we're smart, but we have no idea how much work it takes to have scientific proof of like a one-sentence statement. That takes years of research. Scientists like trying to research microscopic things you can't even see, and then try to determine how that might affect the immune system of people all over the planet. We all have different immune systems all over the planet, and even if scientists guessed something based on evidence a year ago and then that changed, it doesn't mean that they were lying or that they're stupid. That's how science works.
Yeah.
You look at evidence, you come up with theories, you test those theories, and if they work, you stick with them. If they don't, you tear it apart and you try something else.
And like the other thing too with that is that like all the people who are saying that they want to get vaccinated once there's data, you're going to be waiting years. Like, even though I believe that they had enough data to release these vaccines and I think that I'm going to be fine, it's going to take a very long time for them to test the general populace on what was effective, what wasn't, the mixing of vaccines, who had Pfizer, who had Moderna, who had AstraZeneca, who had like Sinopharm over in Asia. Like, it's to get all of those results and then make a decision is going to take years, and by that point there will be so many mutations that I would not want to see what that result is like.
Yeah.
It's
And
going to be messy.
Again, this is new. This is brand new.
Exactly.
Like, how do you expect a scientist to know what's going on right away of something that nobody knew that it existed?
That's part of the problem with a lot of the resistance, though, is all the theories. And even if they're true, like it was planted, it's man-made, it's from China, it's a plot by billionaires to get richer. It's the next move towards the one world order.
But you know what the funny thing is?
I'm not saying it's not, by the way.
But that's a simple way to look at it. Like, if the way, like I said, the way a scientist looks at this, we wouldn't understand a quarter or an inch of what they're doing. But it's easier to say billionaires spent it on it, or it's the easiest way that, because we can all understand it.
Yeah.
That's why conspiracy theories are so popular, because they're easy to understand. It's easy to understand that, oh, a rich guy that has money did it, or a bat that you ate a bat, then, oh, this microgen in this thing did it, and the composition of that, or that. Like, if it's too difficult, we'll be like, what the fuck is this? I don't know. I don't get it.
But even if like part of me does sort of believe that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the government had a hand in making this thing, but I don't believe that like that the scientists aren't actually trying to fix this, and that isn't also taking an extremely long time. Like, we're fortunate enough that some of this could be based off of like SARS from 2002, because it's just like a derivative of SARS to make the vaccine. Like, we're lucky that we even have that much knowledge or information to base this off of.
But the conspiracy theory, let's say, that is that billionaires are using this to capitalize on it. Yeah, they are.
Well,
Why
they
wouldn't
have.
they? They're people. They're billionaires. They're
Sure.
capitalists. Or that these drug corporations are just trying to make billions off the vaccine. Yeah, of course they are.
They already
But
do off of cancer.
that doesn't mean that COVID's not out there killing people, and that it's
Exactly.
not real, and that it's not dangerous, and that people aren't trying to actually come up with a vaccine that doesn't kill people.
Yes.
But you
You know
look
what
at, here's somebody that told me, I have a friend in Dubai, he's a doctor,
Mhm.
and he told me something that is amazing. He says, makeup causes cancer, alcohol, pop, they cause diabetes. These are things that are killing us every day. Cigarettes cause cancer, and we're fine taking it. We don't conspire against the government. We don't of things that they're selling us. They're already selling us this shit. This is Pepsi's already there, Coca-Cola's already there, Marlboro's still here. Like, these things are literally killing us all day, every day, and nobody's saying a conspiracy theory about it. But this is a brand new thing that nobody knows. Nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows how they're going. But they have to say, oh, it's the government. But what about everything else that we're doing? Like, it's not the government. It's a private company.
Well, it's part of the, like, those things help, like, give rewards to our little centers, right? Like, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
And it's not instant death.
Half of the people who aren't vaccinated are the ones who snorted coke with me. You don't know what the fuck was in that, guys.
Yeah.
So, like, really? But they even said that to the kid beside me who was like, I don't want to get vaccinated. And I'm like, you're holding a Gatorade in your hand. You really know what all of those ingredients are? Do you know what xanthan gum does in your, like, whatever the fuck? Like, it's just, it's a fear of the unknown. It's hating the feeling of losing their rights because they're stuck inside and because they are forced to change
that's
and
what
they
it
don't
is.
like their normal.
Yeah.
Because we don't
It's
know
fear.
anything about anything we do. I know that half of the skincare shit that I put on, like, it says it's 1% retinol, but I don't know what that percentage is in terms of everything else I put on my face. I just hope I look cute at the end of the day. But, like, my face could melt off in 30 years. I won't know. So I got vaccinated.
I think if you guys can, Killer Mike, who's a rapper, has a series on Netflix, and he talks about soda, how soda kills millions of people every day, millions of people, and the diet one has aspartame that kills a lot of people as well. We don't give a fuck, and we still drinking Pepsi, and we're still drinking all of this shit, and we're still wearing makeup because we don't understand what's in it. We just rather live with it. But now that we have a vaccine and COVID-19, we want to make sure we want to have an enemy.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. We want to have an enemy. Like, oh, we got to pin the finger at somebody.
We can all rally together.
Exactly. Like we can all rally together. Like, no, that doesn't work that way. It's a disease, just like everything. And again, if it worked that way, why don't we go against what's already been killing us before?
And we could have all rallied together, though, if everyone would have understood that science was on our side. I do believe that COVID is the enemy, and I often believe that the government is the enemy, but getting vaccinated was how I counteracted that so that I believe the world could get back to a slight normal. I wasn't going to hate COVID and then just, like, not wear a mask and go to Shoppers Drug Mart and buy my chips with no repercussions.
Yeah, devil's advocate. Science absolutely on our side.
Yes.
But there's I guess the belief that some scientists are corrupt and working with corrupt people within the and stuff like that. It's really, I think, like just the fear of the unknown, right? Coca-Cola is killing us slowly, but you can drink a Coke and you know that it's been around forever. When you drink it, you don't die right away. There's this fear that if you take a shot, you're gonna grow a third arm or have a blood clot, and then you're dead.
Is it really bad to have a third arm? You'll be a social media star. You'll be on Instagram. Everybody will look at you. Like, is it that bad? Like, really?
And the thing with Coke is that everyone's like, well, it used to have cocaine in it, so at least it's better now than it was.
Like, if you mutate because of COVID, everybody would know who you are. You'll be an Instagram star. You'll have millions of likes. Again, it's not that bad. Just take the vaccine.
There's always a way to swing it.
Look, there's a guy that has a big neck, and he has like 3 million followers because he has a big neck. That's it. That's all he has. And people are like, oh, he has a big neck. Let's all follow him. So if you have a third arm or the vaccine gives you a third eye, you'll be popular.
And at the end of the day, I think by now there have been enough people vaccinated that those that are still sitting on the fence, I think there's been enough data, like you said. You don't have to wait years. I think billions of people have been vaccinated and there's been no short-term effects. Yeah, just like with your makeup, in 30 years, everyone who got vaccinated might explode. And the few people that didn't are the ones that are going to take over the world and be the next generation of humans.
But I know somebody with kids right now who is still hesitant because of what's in it. And, like, I've been vaccinated since my first dose in April and I'm still alive and here. So some people are going to wait, but how long are you willing to wait before you feel satisfied that all of your friends didn't grow a third arm, get a big neck, mutate?
Yeah, I started on a medication in 2019 for my eczema that I don't have to pay for it. I get it under compassionate care. Now it's covered under benefits partly, but it costs $2,400 a month.
What?
I have to put a needle in my stomach twice a month to keep my skin under control. Because before I had that and some other new medications that just came out, I had some of the worst eczema anyone's ever seen, including my dermatologist. But I went on this medication with the same fears. Like, it's a brand new medication. It came out in like 2018. I started taking it in 2019. And I had to go get blood work every 2 weeks for like 6 months to make sure nothing weird was happening to my liver. And now I'm great, and it's completely changed my life, and it's been fantastic. And the point is, like, there's always that fear of the unknown, of the new medicines, of the new medications, because science is complicated. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, even old medications, like, there was a bigger chance of every single woman who takes the pill getting blood clots than the blood clot percentages
that is
from...
something that's not popular enough.
Yeah, like, I'm on the pill and I'm
dangerous.
The pill is extremely
Super
dangerous. It
dangerous.
also is worse for people who have breast cancer history in their family, and my aunt has had it. My mom has had 7 cysts and 1 tumor. I'm still fucking taking that because I don't like the alternative options that are presented to me. All of the women who, when they first came out with the cervical cancer vaccine, had a lot of horrible, very initial side effects and pain and, like, bad things that happened to them. So this isn't the first first time. It's just the first time that it's a global thing, and that people think that they know more from reading a Facebook status than listening to their scientists.
That's a whole podcast. Women's health is
Yeah.
neglected and not cared about.
Women get it worse than
dangerous.
women get it
No one
worse
talks about it.
than everybody else. Women get it worse than everybody else. I think.
Thank you.
And I think that's what the thing is. Is like I think the fact that we have social media, which it expands all of this thing. Like it's like everybody has a megaphone now.
Yep.
And everybody can say whatever they want without no consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems now. We didn't have that. If this would have happened 20 years ago, I think we would have been better. I think it would have been just going away. Because I remember we had the bird flu in the early 2000s, and it only went in China, and it didn't spread because everybody listened to the government. Everybody took the right precautions, and it went.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have the Twitter or the Facebook or the
pros and cons of that for sure.
Instagram.
I'm not saying we shouldn't have social media, that people shouldn't have voices, because it has changed the world in a lot of good ways and brought attention to a lot of real issues that, just the government and the billionaires that own the media control the news. That's not good either. But it does create huge problems when everyone gets to give their 2 cents, and Joe Nobody, if they have a loud enough voice, can get billions of followers, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, but everyone will start listening to them.
A great example is our last episode that we have. We did the advertising. Have you guys looked at the comments?
Oh my gosh, of course. Oh my gosh, I've just been reading them. There's this little white French kid who thinks he's going to be a hip hop producer, and I haven't made a comment because of our comments, but I screenshotted it, and I just want to write thanks for the N-word comment. I hope you never blow up, because we're going to be posting these screenshots.
The funny thing is that usually I delete the racist comments, but this one, because it was a specific one about the N-word, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let it right, because we in my mind was like, there's gonna be a lot of racism.
Exactly.
There's gonna be a lot of racism. That's gonna happen. But the amount of people that are saying stuff that are white and they don't know what they're talking about, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, people saying you guys are bringing attention to the word because there's not a problem, but you're just so desperate for attention that you're the ones making the world racist by talking about the N-word.
Well, that's the same thing as the work that we're doing with the survey, and everyone was like, by teaching race theory, you're bringing racism to kids. Kids aren't born racist. Well, unfortunately, their fucking families are racist, and they live with them. And then they hear these Joe Blows saying the N-word around the house, and then they call me the N-word when I'm a child. So unfortunately, that's a real reality.
But bringing that back is the thing. The social media is a gift and a curse, like you say, Clinton. Yeah. It's amazing. It reaches out. It changes things. But the amount of people that don't know what they're talking about, or even, you know what, because I see the data, a lot of these people don't even listen to the podcast. They just see the title and they just comment.
They get angry. They see the word black.
Yeah. And I was like, you haven't even heard the goddamn thing. And they comment about it. And that's the problem that we have with the COVID-19 and the vaccine and everything else. It's just that a lot of people that don't know, they have the right because they can, and they just go and do it.
But that's been a thing for a really long time. Even a very famous celebrities will tweet for the first time in forever, and the first comments are always the most disgusting, Justin Bieber, I want you to shove your cock down my, and a bunch of things. But it's just to get that first tweet in, be the first person to respond so that people see it at the top and like it and engage with it and try to get them to engage for no purpose. It's just to get attention and be annoying. None of those people listen to our podcast or know what's going on at all. Same thing with the comments on the survey. Most of those people didn't complete the survey. A lot of those people didn't have